Right here on the news today at 9. Congress loyalists are now speaking out on the growing crisis within the party. They've rooted for Vice President Rahul Gandhi to be made president of the Congress party amidst growing concerns of a rift between mother and son. In exclusive interviews to Headlines Today, senior leaders Kamal Nath and Digvijay Singh have said that it's time the Gandhi young leader is given his chance to lead the party. That's not the only admission. Kamal Nath has admitted that dual power centers seem to be emerging and differences are there between Sonia Gandhi and her son. He said, and I quote, "When I go to Sonia with a problem, she says, please go to Rahul. When I go to Rahul Gandhi, he says the Congress president will resolve the matter. The Congress is falling between the two stools of Rahul and Sonia Gandhi. This cannot go on." Listening to Kamal Nath speaking to Rahul Kanwal, and then Digvijay Singh speaking to Karan Thapa.
I think that Rahul Gandhi, this situation which has existed, that neither Rahul is there, neither Mrs. Gandhi is there. And Mrs. Gandhi thinks that Rahul is doing something and Rahul thinks Mrs. Sonia Gandhi is doing something. We must have a situation where Rahul is in command. Now after that, if he fails to succeed, the failure and success is his.
Okay, those are the two big interviews that are coming in. We'll have more on them later on, of course, tonight. But Rahul Kanwal, who did that interview with Kamal Nath, joins me, and Javed Ansari, our National Affairs Editor. Rahul, it appears that Kamal Nath is making it very clear that this dual power center system of Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi cannot go on for much longer in the Congress.
Rajdeep, anyone who spends time with senior Congress leaders over the past several months would tell you that this has been said privately on many an occasion. However, this is the first time that someone as senior as Kamal Nath has come out and said that when he goes to Rahul Gandhi, he says go to Sonia. When he goes to Sonia Gandhi, she says go to Rahul, and the Congress is falling between the two stools. So this dual power center, which seems to be at the root of the crisis, which is also the main reason why Rahul Gandhi is in a sulk, has now come out to the fore. If you add up all these interviews together, a crescendo is now beginning to build, Rajdeep, for Rahul Gandhi to be declared the party's president in the conclave, which could possibly happen in Shimla next month. Here's what they want: give him 2 years, well before the next general elections. If he's up to the task, we will support him. If he's not, he himself will be forced to realize that he's a failure. He says when people ask him, why are you not a 24/7 politician, he says, I would like to be, but I'm not fully in charge. If I were in charge, I would work 24/7. I'm prepared for it. A senior leader, whom I won't name, told me that he went and told Rahul Gandhi that, are you prepared to be a 24/7 politician? And he said, yes, I am. This leader said, can I go and tell Mrs. Gandhi this? And he said that, yes, you must go and tell my mother this. He says he went to Sonia Gandhi and communicated to her that Rahul says give him full charge. She said that there are some senior leaders who seem to have objections with Rahul being made in charge. I want to take them all on board, want to bring them on board and then hand over the baton. That seems to have got to Rahul, which is why he's gone off in a huff. Now a crescendo building, Rajdeep, for Rahul to be declared the party's president at the conclave that happens next month.
You know, that conclave, Javed, it could be in Shimla, as Rahul is saying. More likely, I'm told, in Bangalore in the month of April, where there is a Congress government also like him, Himachal Pradesh, one in Karnataka. Is Rahul Gandhi now almost certain to become the Congress president, or could there still be resistance from the Sonia loyalists? The likes of, Ahmed Patel and others, are they still likely to resist it, or is it a done deal now that Rahul Gandhi will be the Congress president by April?
As things stand, I'd be very surprised if Rahul Gandhi does not go on to become the Congress president. It would be erroneous to believe or to read that there are differences, there are factional differences between Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and Mr. Rahul Gandhi. There are indeed differences in approach. Rahul believes that everything, he wants to start with a clean slate. Mrs. Gandhi's style is totally different. When she took her also, she didn't jettison everybody who had worked for either Mr. Sitaram Kesri or Narasimha Rao. She believes in taking people together and gradual changes. Rahul Gandhi now believes that the time has come for the Congress to begin to chart a totally different course, and that's the dichotomy that is playing out. I'd be very surprised going forward at the AICC session if Rahul Gandhi does not go on to take on the leadership of the Congress party.
You know, Rahul, there is the question of the old guard and the new guard, and it's not really defined by age. I mean, there are, it is more about their attitude, how they see Rahul Gandhi. Is there a sense that there are still leaders who have huge reservations about Rahul's leadership, would still prefer Sonia Gandhi, but don't want, but are not sure which way the wind is blowing. And we still don't know what is Sonia Gandhi's mind. What does Sonia Gandhi want?
You know, in the eyes of the new guard, there is an old entrenched guard, and that includes the likes of, say, an Ahmed Patel, that includes the likes of a Motilal Vora, that includes the likes of a Janardhan Dwivedi, and several more. Who they believe are opposed to Rahul being elevated, who believe that he's not ready for the task, that he'll not be able to handle the pressure. However, I had an opportunity to have deep conversations with some of these leaders, and I won't name which one, but we had very long conversations with some of these leaders, and they say that this is just hype. This is an attempt by people who are trying to align themselves on the side of the rising sun, who are making it seem in public perception that there's an old guard that is opposed to Rahul's elevation. They said that what option does anyone have? If Rahul wants to be president, he can be president now. Look at who's the PCC chief in Rajasthan. Look at who's the PCC chief in Haryana. Look at who's the PCC chief in Madhya Pradesh. These are all Rahul appointees. They believe that Rahul has a free hand and he's free to do pretty much what he wants. One of these leaders said that Rahul has a deep complex, that he's not certain of what he wants. And while this crescendo is now beginning to build, that Rahul Gandhi will definitely be the party president at the conclave next month, they believe that he is not so sure. So there is a twist in this. While there's a crescendo, the likes of a Digvijay Singh, a Kamal Nath saying, give him charge, let's see what he's made up of. That's the only way we'll find out. There are people in the Congress who believe that he has a complex, that he's not certain, that he's in two minds still, and that it's better for Sonia Gandhi to continue helming the party so that it doesn't fall apart. And they believe that this crescendo is being built so that Rahul is set up to fail. That's their sense, that Rahul is being set up for failure and they need to shield him against that. These are the people who are weighing in then on Mrs. Gandhi and urging her not to hurry the passing of the baton to Rahul Gandhi.
Okay, we'll see how this plays out, because clearly within the Congress party, the next month or the next 6 weeks will be critical. It seems that finally that battle is coming to the fore. More and more voices coming out. Rahul Kanwal bringing that big interview, and Javed Ansari, appreciate your joining us here at the top of the 9 p.m. news. Now, let's turn to our other big focus tonight. Away from the noise of politics, let's turn to a real issue that should trouble you and me. Nearly 1,000 people are already dead in this country from swine flu over the last 2 months. 875 is the exact total. The figures, though, are getting alarming by the day. In the national capital, only 8 dead. But there's a more sinister problem here. As our correspondent Jugal Purohit finds out, some of the more prestigious government hospitals marked out for the swine flu fight are massively overburdened. So before we go to the other states, let's turn to Delhi, where panic is slowly setting in.